we've been talking about a lot about Ashton Jeanty with these Heisman hopes, but I'm here to tell all of you right now that Desmond Reed, the running back out at Pittsburgh, is actually the best running back in the entire country. The West Carolina transfer is top 5 in rushing and has the 4th most receiving yards out of all running backs in the country. He is so productive. He's a do-it-all back. He has currently 293 yards on the ground, averaging 8.9 yards per carry, while also having 117 yards in the receiving game. So this is someone who can do it all out of the backfield. And guess what? He also has a punt return for a touchdown on the season. I don't know if there's any other players in college football who have recorded a rushing, receiving, and return touchdown already this season. So Reed is lighting up the stat sheet. He's, like I said, averaging 8.9 yards per carry while also averaging 13 yards per reception with 0 drops on 11 targets. This guy is reliable. He is efficient, and more importantly than anything, he is productive. And watching his tape, right? Watching how he plays, not only does he have breakaway speed, he can make one cut and accelerate, but like he's a kind of short, stockier guy. He can lay the boom. He's forced 12 missed tackles, which is good for 12th in the country, a pretty good figure, but he has great contact balances and is not afraid of absorbing contact, averaging over 4 yards per carry after contact. Reed is the perfect example of how the portal should be used as he transferred from West Carolina after being there for a couple of years to Pittsburgh, right? Last year, they had a very poor running game.
Went there.
And hey, Pittsburgh Panthers, right? Almost had Dante, or your favorite college quarterback.
Western Carolina.
Oh, Western Carolina. Well, yeah. They lost out on Dante and Desmond Reed, so they're the losers here.
What the Fuchs?
I was literally just about to say that.
What the Fuchs, man? Western Carolina.
Now trademark.
You're missing out. But Desmond Reed, right? Going back to him, he has changed the trajectory of this program with their season because they actually have a running back who is productive and can get the ground game going. And he's changed the trajectory of his career, going from Western Carolina to a Power 5 program where he is excelling early on. This guy could easily launch himself into the conversation for getting drafted out of nowhere. Desmond Reed, easily the best running back you don't know about, but he is also the best running back in the entire country.
Ashton, don't watch.
That's our first overreaction. Desmond Reed, not Ashton Jeanty. But our second overreaction is that Texas can beat anyone in the country, and they are the best team in the entire country between Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, and Gunnar Helm in the passing game. And that's not even mentioning multiple other receiving threats. And Jaden Blue, Jarek Gibson, and Quintravion Wisner in the running game. This offense really is like a pick your poison, right? You just like Michigan saw with when they threw out Will Johnson out there, you throw out Will Johnson on Isaiah Bond, Golden and Helm will beat you. You move him over to try to cover Golden, Bond will get you for a few yards, right? And the running backs will just rotate, right? Texas has been doing this for years, where they have at least 2 capable backs. It started out with Roschon and Bijan, right? And then this last year, it was a combination of Blue, Keelan Robinson, and Jonathan Brooks. And now this year, right? And CJ Baxter last year, who's hurt now. And they, even without Baxter, are able to produce on the ground with Jaden Blue, 5-star true freshman Jarek Gibson, and Quintravion Wisner. And now this defense, we talked about them already, but they stifled Michigan and Colorado State. And Colorado State is not a bad team. They're in the Mountain West, sure. But between Braden Fowler-Nicolosi and Torrey Horton, one of the best group of 5 receivers in the entire country, this is an offense that doesn't ever really get shut out. And that's exactly what happened in Austin in week 1. This defense is very improved. And both Power 4 wins over the last 2 years for Texas in non-conference matchups have been on the road by double digits. They get it done. We've talked about this a little bit earlier on in the show, but now looking forward, right? They have Georgia at home, right? They have them in Austin after they play Bama. So Georgia's going to be worn out. They're going to have just played a very tough game. Who knows if they win that? Then they play Oklahoma. But both of those games, right? Can either team find ways to score on Texas? Oklahoma just beat Houston 16-14. They won off of like a safety. Oklahoma doesn't look good. But can Georgia not only find ways to score on this Texas team, can they find a way to stop all these weapons? And I just don't think so. It's in Austin. We can talk about sixth-year senior breakout star David Benda at linebacker. He's racking up tackles. And the secondary has improved. The front seven dominated Michigan. They were just so much more physical. And the thing with Texas is, unlike Michigan and Florida State, who had great teams last year, Texas is deep. They are not going to rebuild. They're going to reload. They had a lot of guys drafted this past year, and they reloaded. They're at a spot just like Georgia and just like Alabama, right? Where once they lose guys, once they have a good year, they don't rebuild. They reload. And Texas is definitely one of the teams to beat, and I would argue at this point in time, they are the team to beat in the entire country. Going on to our third overreaction, which I kind of spoiled, but that is that USC's defense is legit. Believe in the hype. A week after downing LSU in Sin City in Las Vegas on a neutral site, the Trojans shut out the Utah State Aggies in a 48-0 win. You may say, well, it's Utah State. Well, they should blank a team like that. When have we seen a Lincoln Riley defense not only put up a good defensive performance like they did against LSU? When have we seen a Lincoln Riley team put up a good defensive performance in back-to-back weeks? They've done it now twice in a row. This is something that is a novelty for a Lincoln Riley coach team. And you want to talk about, I wasn't convinced after week one, but Bryson Barnes, a former Power 4 starter at Utah last year when Cam Rising was hurt, was a starting quarterback for Utah State. So it's not like they're going up against a bunch of bums. Their quarterback, the starting quarterback for Utah State, was a former Power 4 starter. And the week prior, right? Let's look at how good is this offense this year with Bryson Barnes. Utah State put up 646 total yards of offense. They dropped nearly 700 yards the week before. It doesn't matter who it's against. They're fully capable of moving the ball. And a week out later, USC blanks them, and they put up less than 200 yards of total offense. That's not an accident. You don't accidentally just go out there and shut out a team who just dropped 648 yards of total offense the week before. It doesn't matter who it is. This defense is massively improved. I said it in my Big Ten predictions at the beginning of the season, and I'll say it again. USC has a very clear path to the Big Ten championship, especially now that Michigan isn't good. If they beat Penn State, they are home free with this new defense. And Penn State just struggled with Bowling Green. They were losing at half. They only won by 7. USC this year has a defense that can get them through this Big Ten schedule. And it was never a question about the offense, but they're still great too. So USC's defense is legit. USC is a team to watch going into the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with all of those points that Khalid has just said, especially the USC's defense is legit. We haven't seen this.
2 out of 3.
Which one do you disagree with?
You know which one. You know which one.
Which one?
He disagrees with Desmond Reed.
Oh,
every time I read that, every time I read that, I kept thinking it said Desmond Ridder, and I was very confused.
Well, just like I thought Marion Hampton was better than Ollie Gordon, and everybody is like, no. Okay.